Have you ever noticed how two people can go through the same situation, yet one feels hopeless while the other remains cheerful and full of energy? Friends, that difference is not in the situation, it is in the mind. Today I want to share with you a secret, a skill, a superpower that every human being can develop, the ability to train your mind to stay positive no matter what life throws at you. And I promise, by the end of this talk, you will see that happiness isn't something that happens to you. It's something you can create, starting right now from within. Friends, imagine for a moment that your mind is like a beautiful garden. A garden is not just soil and plants, it's a living ecosystem. And like any garden, it grows what you plant. If you plant weeds, if you plant thorns, if you plant seeds of worry, fear, and anger, then what do you think will grow? The weeds will spread, the thorns will prick, and soon you will walk through a garden full of chaos and discomfort. But if instead you plant seeds of positivity, seeds of gratitude, seeds of hope, seeds of love, then slowly over time your garden will transform. Flowers will bloom, fruits will ripen, and every corner will radiate joy. The amazing thing is, your mind responds to what you feed it. Every thought you nurture, every belief you water, grows stronger. If you spend your time thinking, I can't do this, life is unfair, I'm unlucky, then your mind listens. It believes you. It starts to grow that as truth. You wake up every morning, and the same weeds that you planted yesterday now seem so real, so inevitable. But the good news is, you can choose differently. You can consciously plant something new. You can plant courage instead of fear. You can plant optimism instead of doubt. You can plant patience instead of frustration. And just like a garden, it takes time. You cannot plant a seed today and expect a tree tomorrow. You cannot think one positive thought and expect all your negativity to vanish. You must water it daily. You must nurture it with consistent practice. Sometimes a storm will come, stress, disappointment, loss. But remember, even storms can make the garden stronger if your roots are deep. The roots of positivity, gratitude, and love anchor your mind, so that even in turbulent times, your garden remains vibrant. Friends, the power of this idea is simple yet profound. Whatever you choose to plant, that is what your life will eventually reflect. If you keep planting worry, negativity, and fear, your life becomes a reflection of that chaos. But if you consciously choose to plant thoughts of hope, positivity, and resilience, your life begins to mirror that beauty. And here's the magic. This is not just imagination. Science tells us that our brain is plastic. It can rewire itself. The more you feed positive thoughts, the stronger the neural pathways become. Your mind literally becomes the garden you tend. So I urge you today, start planting consciously. Look at the thoughts you are watering. Pull out the weeds. Nurture the flowers. And I promise, little by little, your mind will blossom. And when your mind blossoms, everything around you, your relationships, your work, your health, your happiness, will flourish too. Because life doesn't give you what you wish for. It gives you what you grow within yourself, friends. Have you ever noticed how often we go through life on autopilot? We wake up, we rush, we react to situations, and we hardly pause to notice what's happening inside our own minds. Most of the time, our thoughts are like a river flowing uncontrollably, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent, but always moving. And the truth is, you cannot change a river if you do not first see it. That's why awareness is so important. Awareness is the first step toward transforming your mind, toward training it to stay positive. Awareness means watching your thoughts as if you are sitting quietly beside them, like a curious observer, not like a judge. Imagine a child watching ants march in a line or a bird flying in the sky. Pure curiosity, no interference, no criticism. That's the attitude you need toward your own mind. Begin to notice when negative thoughts arise. Don't push them away, don't fight them, just notice. Say to yourself, there's fear again. There's anger. Naming it gives it shape. It brings it out of the shadows. And once it is seen, you can choose how to respond. You see, most of our suffering doesn't come from life itself. It comes from unawareness. We are unaware of our thoughts, and because of that, we believe every thought we have. A single negative thought can grow into a storm if we are not mindful. But when we cultivate awareness, we create space. Space between the thought and our reaction. Space between the situation and our emotional response. That space is freedom. That space is choice. And in that space, positivity begins to grow. Friends, awareness is not just observing your thoughts, it's also noticing your patterns. Which situations make you anxious? Which people trigger irritation in you? Which memories bring sadness? Once you see these patterns clearly, you realize that your mind is predictable. And predictability is a gift. It means you can prepare, you can train, you can respond differently next time. You can choose not to water the weeds of worry and fear, and instead water the seeds of hope, calm, and patience. And here's a little secret: awareness doesn't have to be complicated. It can begin with a single simple habit. Each morning, take a moment to check in with your mind. Ask yourself, how am I feeling? What thoughts are running through me? Don't judge, just notice. Over time, this simple act trains your mind to recognize its own tendencies. And as awareness grows, negativity loses its power, because you are no longer a passive passenger. You become the conscious driver of your mind. The more you practice awareness, the more you realize that the mind is not a battle to be fought. It is a garden to be tended, a field to be observed, a space to be nurtured. Awareness is the flashlight that reveals where the weeds are, where the seeds are, and where the beauty can grow. And once you have this awareness, everything else becomes possible. Positivity, resilience, happiness, they all begin to flow naturally. Because you have learned the simple art of seeing clearly, of knowing your mind, and choosing consciously what to nourish. Friends, let me tell you, awareness is not just a tool for positivity. It is the doorway to freedom. Freedom from stress, freedom from anger, freedom from the chaos of uncontrolled thoughts. The moment you cultivate awareness, you stop being a victim of your mind and you start being the master of your inner world. And that, my friends, is where true happiness begins. When you see clearly, you respond wisely, and your mind learns to stay positive no matter what life throws at you. Friends, have you ever noticed how easily we identify ourselves with our thoughts? One moment we feel confident, the next moment we feel insecure, and somehow we believe that these thoughts define who we are. But let me tell you a profound truth. You are not your thoughts. Your mind is full of passing clouds, sometimes dark, sometimes light, but the sky itself remains vast, open, and untouched. You are like that sky. Thoughts come and go, emotions arise and fade. Yet the essence of who you are, the observer within, you remains constant. When we believe that every negative thought is true, we give it power. A single thought, I'm not good enough, can make us feel defeated for hours, days, even years. A thought like, I can't handle this, can chain us in fear before we've even tried. But the moment we step back and see that these are just thoughts, not facts, a shift happens. The chains of negativity begin to loosen. You no longer react automatically, you respond consciously. And in that response lies your freedom. Let me give you a small analogy. Imagine a calm lake. If a leaf falls on its surface, it ripples the water. But if you look deeper, beneath the ripples, the water remains still. That stillness is who you truly are. Thoughts are like ripples. They may disturb the surface, but they do not touch the depth of your being. The moment you understand this, you realize that you can face challenges, criticism, or failure without being completely swept away. You can acknowledge your thoughts without letting them control you. Friends, this is not just philosophy. It is practical. Every time a negative thought arises, instead of reacting, you can say, here's another thought. This is not me. It is temporary. And then, with gentle awareness, you can guide your mind toward positivity. You can choose to water the flowers rather than the weeds. You can choose thoughts of courage over fear, hope over despair, love over resentment. And here's something even more remarkable. The more you practice seeing your thoughts as separate from yourself, the more your brain literally changes. Neuroscience calls this metacognition, the ability to observe your own thinking. The more you do it, the stronger the pathways of self-awareness and emotional control become. In simple words, you train your mind to stay calm, to remain positive, and to respond wisely even in difficult situations. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but what about overwhelming thoughts? What about anxiety or depression? Friends, even then, you are not your mind. You are the observer. And being the observer does not mean ignoring the challenges. It means facing them from a place of strength, clarity, and awareness. Instead of being swept away by negative emotions, you can acknowledge them, understand them, and gradually let them pass while your inner self remains untouched, peaceful, and strong. Let me leave you with this. Life will throw storms, challenges, and difficult situations. Thoughts of fear, doubt, and anger will arise. But if you understand that you are not your thoughts, that they are like clouds passing in the sky, you gain a superpower. The ability to remain calm, to stay positive, to choose wisely, and to live with freedom and joy. Because when you see clearly, when you know deeply, the mind becomes your servant, not your master. And that, my friends, is the essence of true inner happiness. Friends, let me ask you a simple question. When life feels heavy, when problems surround you from all sides, when disappointment or failure knocks on your door, what do you focus on? Most people instinctively focus on what is wrong. They focus on the pain, the loss, the injustice, the fear. And do you know what happens? The mind becomes a magnifying glass for negativity. One small problem feels enormous. One setback feels permanent. One criticism feels like the end of the world. But here is where the magic of gratitude comes in. Gratitude is not just saying, thank you, in polite words. It is a shift in perception. It is the conscious act of turning your mind toward what is good, even in the midst of difficulty. It is noticing the small blessings that are always around you. The warmth of the sun, the breath in your lungs, the smile of a loved one, the opportunity to learn, the strength that carried you through yesterday. And when you focus on these, something extraordinary happens. Your mind begins to rewire itself. Positivity starts to grow. Happiness, even in small doses, begins to seep into your life. Imagine this: two people lose their jobs. One focuses on despair, the emptiness, the fear of the future, and sinks into hopelessness. The other, while acknowledging the difficulty, focuses on what they still have: their skills, their family, their health, their opportunities. That person begins to think creatively, to plan, to take action. Gratitude becomes the foundation for hope. Gratitude becomes the light that shows a path forward. You see, gratitude doesn't change the situation, but it changes you. It changes how you see the situation. And when your perception changes, your life changes. Friends, gratitude is like a muscle. It needs to be exercised daily. You cannot practice gratitude once and expect miracles. Start small. Each day, make a habit of noticing 3 things you are grateful for. It could be as simple as a cup of tea in the morning, a kind word from a friend, or even the fact that you woke up today. Over time, your mind will begin to notice the positive automatically. The brain has a remarkable ability. It will begin to scan your life for blessings rather than problems. And slowly, a habit of positivity is formed. Gratitude also gives you resilience when the storms of life hit. Because they will, gratitude anchors you. It reminds you of the good that still exists, the support that surrounds you, the inner strength you carry. Gratitude is not a denial of reality. It is not pretending that life is perfect. It is simply choosing to focus on what uplifts, what strengthens, what nourishes the heart. And friends, this choice is entirely within your control. Think of gratitude as a lens through which life is viewed. Without it, life seems grey, heavy, burdensome. With it, life glows with possibilities, with hope, with joy. And here is the ultimate truth. The more grateful you become, the less room there is for negativity. Your mind becomes a fertile soil where positivity can grow effortlessly. And from that inner garden, happiness blossoms naturally. So today, I urge you, start small, but start consistently. Every day, cultivate the habit of gratitude. Notice the beauty, the love, the kindness around you. Focus on what you have, not what you lack. And I promise you, slowly but surely, your mind will transform. You will begin to see challenges as opportunities, setbacks as lessons, and life itself as a gift. Gratitude, my friends, is the superpower that trains your mind to stay positive. No matter what, friends, I want to talk to you about something we often overlook, yet it shapes our entire life. The way we speak to ourselves. Every day, a quiet conversation is happening inside your mind. You may not notice it, but it's there. And the words you use, the tone you adopt, and the attitude you carry in that conversation can either lift you up or pull you down. Many people never realize this. They treat themselves worse than they would ever treat a stranger. They criticize themselves, doubt themselves, and berate themselves endlessly. And slowly, day by day, these words plant seeds of negativity, fear, and self-doubt. But let me tell you something powerful. You have the ability to change that inner dialogue. You can become your own best friend. You can speak words of encouragement, of love, of patience to yourself. Instead of saying, I can't do this, you can say, I will try, I will learn, I will grow. Instead of saying, I'm not enough, you can remind yourself, I am a work in progress and I am capable of greatness. You see, positivity begins with the words you whisper to your own heart. Here's a little secret: your mind is incredibly obedient. It listens carefully to the instructions you give it. If you repeatedly tell it, I'm weak, it becomes weak. If you repeatedly tell it, I am strong, I can overcome, it gradually learns to follow those instructions. Your inner dialogue is like a script you write for your own life. And the more conscious you become of it, the more you can direct it toward empowerment and positivity. Friends, think about it. Every great achievement begins with self-belief. But self-belief doesn't come from external validation. It comes from the voice inside. The moment you start nurturing yourself with kind words, encouraging thoughts, and supportive beliefs, the impossible begins to seem possible. A tiny change in how you talk to yourself can transform your mood, your decisions, and ultimately your life. And it is not just about big statements. It's also in the small moments. When you make a mistake, notice how you react. Do you punish yourself, replay the mistake over and over, and feel hopeless? Or do you say, "It's okay, I will learn from this, I am growing"? That simple act of gentle, positive self-talk rewires your mind. It builds resilience. It creates an inner sanctuary of support that no external challenge can destroy. Friends, this is a daily practice. Like training a muscle, it requires patience and repetition. Start with small affirmations in the morning. Speak to yourself as you would speak to someone you love deeply. Catch yourself in moments of negativity and gently redirect your words. And over time, your inner dialogue will shift from criticism to compassion, from fear to courage, from doubt to confidence. And here's the most beautiful part. When you train your inner dialogue, you don't just stay positive for yourself, you radiate positivity to others. A mind that speaks kindly to itself naturally interacts with the world in kindness. Your relationships improve, your work improves, and your entire experience of life becomes brighter. Because friends, happiness doesn't only come from the outside, it begins inside, in the quiet, ongoing conversation you have with your own soul. So today, I urge you, listen to your inner voice, guide it with love, train it with patience. Speak to yourself as if you are the most precious person in the world. And I promise, when you do this consistently, your mind will naturally stay positive, no matter what life throws your way. This is the power of nurturing your inner dialogue. It is one of the greatest tools you have to create joy, resilience, and peace in your life. Friends, let us talk about a habit that can change your entire life, the habit of focusing on solutions instead of problems. You see, life is going to throw challenges at all of us. That is a given. Problems will come, sometimes small, sometimes big, sometimes completely unexpected. And when a problem appears, most of us do one of two things. We either panic, complain, or feel stuck. Or we allow it to consume our thoughts, replaying the negative scenario again and again. And do you know what that does? It magnifies the problem. It keeps the mind trapped in fear and negativity, creating stress, worry, and helplessness. But there is another way, a way that can train your mind to stay positive, no matter what. That way is to shift your focus from the problem itself to the solution. This is not about pretending the problem doesn't exist. It is about acknowledging the challenge and then asking, what can I do? How can I move forward? What lesson is here for me? When you ask these questions, your mind stops dwelling on despair and starts activating creativity, courage, and resilience. Think about it. Every successful person, every innovator, every leader has faced immense difficulties. The difference between them and the rest is not that they had fewer problems. It's that they trained their minds to look for solutions, not obstacles. When a challenge arises, they do not waste energy lamenting what went wrong. They focus on what can go right. They ask, what action can I take? What step can I implement? And in that focus, positivity grows because the mind moves from helplessness to empowerment. Friends, focusing on solutions also creates a sense of control. When we dwell only on the problem, we feel powerless. But when we begin to ask questions of possibility, what can I learn from this? How can I grow? We reclaim our power. We realize that while we cannot always control life's circumstances, we can control our response. And that choice, the choice to respond constructively, is one of the greatest powers we possess. And here is something even more profound. Focusing on solutions does not just solve the immediate problem. It rewires your mind for positivity in the long term. Every time you face a difficulty and deliberately seek a constructive path, you are training your mind to be resilient, creative, and optimistic. Slowly, this becomes a habit. The mind becomes a natural problem solver rather than a chronic worrier. Challenges still come, but your response becomes calmer, wiser, and more positive. Friends, let me give you a simple practice. Whenever a problem arises, take a moment to breathe. Then ask 3 questions. What is within my control? What can I do to improve the situation? What lesson or opportunity exists here? Write down even the smallest action steps. As you do this repeatedly, you will notice a shift, not only in your mind, but in your emotional state. The problem still exists, but the fear, stress, and negativity begin to fade. Positivity begins to take root because your mind is now trained to act rather than to panic. And here's the ultimate truth: life does not become easier. Problems will continue to appear, often in unexpected ways. But the mind that is trained to focus on solutions becomes a fortress of positivity. It no longer depends on circumstances for happiness. It finds strength in action, hope in learning, and joy in progress. Friends, this simple yet profound habit of focusing on solutions instead of problems is one of the most powerful tools to train your mind to stay positive and to navigate life with courage and wisdom. Friends, let me share something that may surprise you, but it is one of the most powerful truths about your mind. The people you surround yourself with shape who you are. Think about it for a moment. How often have you noticed that after spending time with certain people, your energy either rises or falls? Some people leave you feeling inspired, hopeful, and energized. Others leave you drained, anxious, or even angry. And this is not a coincidence. It is the subtle, yet profound influence of human connection. Your mind is like a sponge. It absorbs the energy, the words, and the attitudes of those around you. If you constantly surround yourself with negativity, pessimism, and criticism, it slowly becomes part of your thinking, part of your worldview. You begin to mirror their worries, their doubts, their fears, without even realizing it. But if you choose to surround yourself with people who radiate positivity, courage, and optimism, something remarkable happens. Their energy becomes contagious. Their mindset begins to influence yours. Their encouragement strengthens your inner voice, and their belief in possibilities begins to awaken belief in yourself. Friends, there is a saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And there is immense wisdom in this. If your inner circle is filled with cynics, complainers, and constant pessimists, your mind will struggle to stay positive, no matter how hard you try. But if your inner circle consists of people who inspire you, challenge you to grow, and lift your spirit, your positivity multiplies. You begin to see life differently. You begin to feel hope even in the darkest times. You begin to believe that you can overcome challenges because you are supported by those who see the light in you. And it's not just about people who are always happy or positive. It's also about people who have wisdom, resilience, and perspective. Those who have faced difficulties but have learned lessons, who respond to setbacks with courage, and who can find gratitude even in hardship. These are the people who silently teach your mind how to stay positive. Being around them is like having a daily guide, showing you through example what it means to live with hope, patience, and joy. Friends, this is why it is so important to be mindful of your associations. You cannot control everyone around you, But you can choose whom you spend your time with. You can choose to step away from toxic relationships, negative influences, and constant criticism. You can seek out those who uplift you, challenge you constructively, and inspire you to become your best self. And the more you do this, the stronger your mind becomes. It learns from your environment, it absorbs positivity, and it begins to naturally resist negativity. Let me tell you a secret. Positivity is not just a mindset, it is a community practice. Even the strongest individual can falter in isolation. But when your mind is nurtured in an environment of positivity, encouragement, and love, it becomes resilient, joyful, and unwavering. Just as a candle lights another candle without losing its flame, positive people ignite your inner light without diminishing their own. And this is the beauty of choosing your circle wisely. So friends, I urge you to look at your life today. Who are the people you spend the most time with? Are they lifting you up or weighing you down? Are they planting seeds of hope in your mind or weeds of worry? Surround yourself with those who inspire, encourage, and uplift you. Protect your mind from toxic influence and instead immerse it in energy that nourishes positivity. Because the company you keep does more than influence your day. It shapes your mindset, your resilience, and ultimately, the quality of your life. Remember, this positivity is contagious, and so is negativity. Choose wisely. Your mind will thank you, your heart will thank you, and your life will blossom beautifully.